Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time with my good friend Laura Morby. How you doing, Laura?
I'm doing great.
So we've been having fun reliving the last crisis, right? We talked about the
Oh yeah.
nuttiness up there and
Yeah.
talked about, spec homes going for 75% off or at least appraisal wise. And we talked about banks being mean and nasty. Now I want to talk about kind of the day the floor got put in, because I remember the day in Fresno where it just changed. It changed overnight. Big money came in. And it was like, whoops, this is no longer easy. Did that happen in Phoenix as well?
Yeah, and I noticed it oddly because I was doing short sales at the time. And that's like pretty much all I had time for.
Mhm.
And I started getting offers on my short sales like within like 20 minutes of putting it up. And it was
Yeah.
always the same guy. It was always the same buyer.
Yeah.
And I honestly, doing short sales is so all encompassing because
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize what was happening until I went and worked for Treehouse, which was a division of Invitation Homes.
Ah,
And then I was like, oh, Jordan Nielsen, I know who you are.
I've seen that name
You were
before.
so annoying. You sent me an offer on every one of my listings. What were you doing? Because
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, what do you guys do? And who are you backed by?
Yeah.
And IH2 and IH3, that's all you?
Yeah. It's all one thing.
THG and THR and all that's you? And then I was like, oh, okay, I get
Check.
it now.
Got it.
Yeah, so I guess I am probably not the best person to ask like the exact feeling
But
of
that's what
that.
happened. Yeah.
But you might know a little bit more because maybe you were
Yeah.
not so up to your eyeballs in short sale paperwork.
No. So we were buying homes sub 50K, and we're talking homes. We're not talking
Mhm.
lots.
Yes. Yeah.
Sub 50K in Fresno and Madera, California for about a year.
Yep.
Like every couple of weeks, we were finding a way to get one done. We had millions of dollars in private money, and we were going. And it became a process, right? You build your network. I found 5 or 6 Laura Morbies in Fresno, right? Because the banks went to the same agents,
Yes, they did.
right?
Yeah.
So I knew the top 5 or 6 the Laura Morby equivalents in Fresno.
Yeah.
And what would happen is they would get their list on Friday.
Mhm.
They would spend their weekend going through them, and then they would list Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on the agent, right?
Mhm.
And I remember one weekend, because I would look, right? It was a process. It was like a clock. And I would have offers ready Monday morning on the 3 or 4 that I wanted to buy.
Mhm.
And I remember Sunday there were no listings. And I'm like, huh, Mary used to do this and Mark did that. Oh, maybe, I don't know. They got busy, right?
Mhm.
Monday, nothing. I'm like, is the system broken?
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
what's happening, right?
Yeah.
So I call a couple of them. They don't get back to me. I'm like, that's weird, right? We talk weekly, right? We've talked weekly for a year. Why are they getting back to me?
Yes.
So it was like, because it felt so odd. Because then by Wednesday, one or
Yeah.
two of them got back to me and they go, Michael, I can't believe it. We were ready to list a book, they called it, of 100 properties or 92 properties or whatever it was. And they said, Michael, somebody bought them all at list. I'm like, what? So one person? Yeah, they bought my entire list at list price. And because I didn't pay list price for a year. I mean,
No.
why would I?
Yeah, you could pay a percentage of all those.
Every
all
time,
those
right? It
bank-owned
came out at
homes. Yep.
62, I'd write it at 56. It came out
Yep.
at 48, I'd write it at 45 and a half.
Yep.
It was just weird. And I'm like, really? Everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, sight unseen. Really? I was like perplexed, right? I'm like, okay, well, some big, and then that went on and on. And for me, I was buying foreclosures first, and then I had to switch to short sales,
Oh, okay. Yep.
right? Because again, once the REO market switched, which
It was impossible.
it was I would just nothing. I mean, it seemed
You
like
didn't even-
nothing showed up for 6
Yeah,
months.
you didn't even have the opportunity.
It didn't. It was weird.
Yeah.
And then you go to short sales, and kind of the same thing happened. Although you could pick off short sales, because short sales, at least at the time, they all didn't go to the same agents, right?
Mm-mm.
REOs went all to the same agents.
Yep.
Short sales, the homeowner still had a voice, right? They could
Yep.
pick their friend, right?
Yep.
So I picked on short sales for another couple of years. But yeah, I mean, I remember the day the REOs changed. I still remember going, somebody bought everything. And I stupidly, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that would mean for years.
Yeah.
I just thought some rich, Silicon Valley exec or Wall Street individual or family bought them. I didn't realize Invitation Homes or like companies were just like, nope. We're basically, people were doing what Warren Buffett said was impossible. Warren Buffett said one time during the crisis, if he could find a way to scale single family homes, he'd buy them all.
Mhm.
Some smart people on Wall Street said, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
And the game was over. It was just,
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah. And it was Wall Street. So
yeah. And again, they came in and they bought, I mean, for certainly for 6 months, they bought everything.
mhm.
Then they got to a size and they started getting a little smarter, right? Because Fresno has pockets where you probably don't want to own.
Yeah.
All right. Because they literally did. They bought everything. And then they started to get a little smarter and they had what I'll call a buy box. I don't know what they would call it. And then they
Yes, buy
started,
box.
they started ignoring certain areas.
Yep.
But by then prices went up 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
And then they had like a really good corner on the rental market too.
oh yeah. Yeah. And again, folks, they're not selling, right? They bought it. They bought 50, 60, 70 grand. Rents are up 50, 60, 70%. Cash flows. Then they bought it for cash. Then they refied them on Wall Street via a REIT. They got all their money back and some, and they still have an 8% yield.
Yep.
Yep. Welcome to Invitation Homes.
Yeah. I know actually, I know a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
They're actually really nice guys. I know, I don't know. Everyone I worked with who was Invitation Homes is fantastic. And some of my most loved people I've met probably in the last 10 years,
oh, wow.
which is odd.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have gone on and, I have nothing but good things to say about all of them.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, where I wanted to go with this 3 videos is you have 2 people here who experienced the crash, pre-crash, during it, and saw the bounce, the return.
Yeah.
It all happens much faster than you think,
Yes.
right? Both the tennis ball down and the tennis ball up. What I would tell you is I was buying the whole way down because I didn't know where the bottom was.
Nope.
We certainly bought a lot during the bottom because they certainly flattened out.
Yep.
But also, when the big money comes, you got to switch your game.
Yep. You got to do something different, which is good that you were able to pivot and be a bit of a chameleon. So I think that like one of the videos that we did, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, I said, you won't win the game if you don't play. And that offended somebody and was like, that's bad advice. And I'm holding to that because
for sure.
I was a part of all of it. And I saw people make money the whole way down.
Oh yeah.
So my meaning of that, you don't win if you don't play the game, is if you're only looking to invest, you're only looking to be in the stream of whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to fix and flip or you want to buy and hold some rentals. If you're looking for the perfect market conditions and you only want to be a part of it when it's smooth sailing, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And so there is still in a recession, there's a lot of opportunity to help people and make money. So I 100% stand by what I said.
Oh,
You do not win unless you play the game. And so you can't get scared and you can't leave. I'm not saying that you don't run the risk of losing money. I'm definitely not saying that because you lost money then, Pace lost money then, everyone lost money then, but you also made money and you learned a lot. And I feel like how strong of a realtor I am right now is because I was not scared and because I didn't get out of it and go do something else. I stuck with it and it was hard and I learned stuff that people still don't know how to do.
Yeah.
And still were never a part of. Like I was in a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad, and I'm glad that I know what I know, and I'm glad that I was able to do what I did, and I'm really happy that we made money during it. I helped people during it, and don't if and when the market starts to go down, it's of course it will. Hopefully, it's not as bad. whenever that is, I don't know. I don't want people to feel like you have to just pack up shop until it starts to get better, because you can still make money.
Oh, absolutely. And again, if you're following my one rental at a time story, what I teach and all of that, the beauty of being able to cash flow day one is you don't have to sell. The reason people did strategic defaults is because their mortgages blew up and they couldn't afford them anymore.
Right.
If you bought a house in Fresno and it cash flowed, it didn't matter that they went down 50% because they're up 120% since then.
Yep. That's one thing that I think that people forget is like, oh, I don't want to buy right now, it's too expensive. And it's like, does it cash flow?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then yeah, it still's fine. Who cares what you bought it for? I mean, to a certain degree, of course. But like, who cares what you bought it for? If it cash flows, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And again, what happened last time, Laura, when houses were falling? Did rents go up?
Yep. Because there were so many people that needed to rent.
Exactly. Rents went up. And here's the other thing I just found out this morning. We'll close out this episode with this. So I believe we're repeating the 1970s. What I mean by that is interest rates for the decade are going to be lowest in the beginning, and they will be higher in 2029. Yep. So in 1970, they started 8.5 and they go all the way to 11.5. That's a 30% move. People are like, housing can't go up when that happens. Wrong. Housing went up 100% from 1970 to 79. Interest rates went up 300 basis points. Wages went up 86%. I just found this morning rent. Rent went up 125%. So if you can buy in 1970 at 30-year fixed rate debt, the lowest of the decade, the house doubles and rent goes up 125%. What is wrong with that picture?
Literally nothing. That's ideal.
Beautiful. Yeah. So do that as often as possible is what I'm telling myself. So Laura, how can people follow you and see the first episode of Triple Digit Flip?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram's Laura Morby. And the first episode's October 2nd. It's Saturday. It's at noon on A&E.
Very cool. And again, remember, if you snap a selfie, tag her and I on October 2nd, she will get a one rental at a time book autographed by the A&E stars. Thanks.
Yes. All right. Thank you.